Hello and welcome to Byjus Exam Prep IAS. Let's get started and look into our daily quiz. Let's look into the first question. With respect to Sambar deer, which of the following statements are correct? It is a large deer native to the Indian subcontinent and Southeast Asia. It is listed as vulnerable species on the IUCN Red List. Which of the statements are correct? The answer to this is both. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the Hindu makes a reference to Sambadia, whose scientific name is Rusa unicolor, and this also makes a mention of Amrabad Tiger Reserve, and this is in the state of Telangana. This can also be asked prospectively in your preliminary examination. Now, if we look into the statement, it is a large deer native to the Indian subcontinent and Southeast Asia. So we can see this deer in Nepal, Bhutan, India, Indonesia. We can also see them in Thailand as well. So the first statement is right. When you look into the second statement, it is listed as a vulnerable species on the IUCN Red List. This statement is also right. So as you can see from the IUCN Red List website, it is vulnerable. And as part of the assignment, you have to put on the comment section in which schedule is it protected under the Wildlife Protection Act. We have couple of schedules, schedule 1, schedule 2, schedule 3, so on and so forth. In which schedule is this species present is what you have to put on the comment section. And this particular species inhabits the tropical dry forest, tropical seasonal forest, as well as subtropical mixed forest as well. Why are its numbers dwindling? Why is it decreasing? That is because of the threat that this particular species faces because of hunting, local insurgency, industrial exploitation, and agricultural activities in those areas where this particular species is present. And do note, Sambar also happens to be a nocturnal species. Now let's look into the next practice question. Consider the following pairs. We have mudras on one side, the meaning that these mudras have on the other side. Abhaya mudra, it symbolizes the Buddha's enlightenment under the Bodhi tree. Bhumisparsha Mudra, it symbolizes protection, peace, and dispelling of fear. Karana Mudra, a gesture to keep away from evil and other negative influences. Varada Mudra, it symbolizes charity, compassion, and boon granting. How many pairs given above are correctly matched? The answer to this is only two pairs. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the Hindu makes a reference to Bhumisparsha Mudra. Let us try and understand what are these statements. What is a mudra? Mudra basically is a gesture of the hand. So we have Abhaya Mudra, which basically symbolizes protection, peace, and dispelling of fear. This stands for fearlessness. So Abhaya Mudra symbolizes protection, peace, and dispelling of fear. Then we have Bhumi Sparsha Mudra. This symbolizes Buddha's enlightenment under the Bodhi tree. Then we have Karana Mudra, which is nothing but a gesture to keep away from evil and other negative influences. And Varada Mudra symbolizes charity, compassion, and boon granting. So we have three, that is Karana Mudra and Varada Mudra, which are correctly matched. So the answer to this would be only two pairs. What is the meaning of these mudras? Let us try and understand them. First, what we have is the Dharma Chakra Mudra, which in Sanskrit means the wheel of Dharma. This mudra symbolizes one of the most important moments in the life of Buddha, the occasion when he preached to his companions the first sermon after his enlightenment in Deer Park at Sarnath. That is Dharma Chakra Mudra. Then we have Bhumi Sparsha Mudra. This translates into touching the earth. It is more commonly known as Earth Witness Mudra. This mudra, formed with all five fingers of the right hand, extended to touch the ground, symbolizes Buddha's enlightenment under the Bodhi tree where he summoned the earth goddess. Then we have Varada Mudra. It symbolizes charity, compassion, and boon granting. It is the mudra of accomplishment of the wish to devote oneself to human salvation. Finally, what we have is called as the Karana Mudra. Now let's look into the next practice question. Which amendment was a consequence of the Indian intervention in Sri Lanka? 7th Amendment, 9th Amendment, 13th Amendment, 14th Amendment. The answer to this is 13th Amendment. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the Hindu makes a reference to the 13th Amendment. 13th Amendment to the Sri Lankan constitution basically envisages few important pointers where India did make an intervention primarily to provide some of the rights to the Tamil speaking people in the country of Sri Lanka. So we have a close affiliation with these people as they speak the Tamil language. So remember, when it comes to Sri Lanka, there were two important issues. One is with respect to the rights. The second is with respect to the language. These Tamil speaking population who are predominantly present in the northern and the northeastern part of Sri Lanka, they were not given the rights. They were not given educational rights, and many rights which were given to the majority Sinhalese community were not given to these people who are speaking Tamil. So the first idea of introducing 13th Amendment was to provide these rights to the Tamil speaking minority who are present in Sri Lanka. The second happens to be in terms of the language. When you speak about Sri Lanka, we have the predominant Sinhalese language. We also have the Tamil language as well. When it comes to these languages, Sinhalese was introduced as one of the primary languages, and the Tamil language in the country of Sri Lanka was not given the equal status. So as part of 13th Amendment, it also wanted to give more provisional powers to the provisional councils in Sri Lanka and also enable Sinhalese and Tamil as national languages while preserving English as the link language. So the 13th Amendment became part of the 1978 Constitution of Sri Lanka as a direct result of Indian intervention in 1987 under the India-Sri Lanka Peace Accord signed in July 1987 between the Indian Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi and then Sri Lankan President J.R. Jayawardena. The accord was aimed at resolving ethnic and civil conflict. Now let's look into the next practice question. With respect to All India Kisan Sabha, which of the following statements are correct? It was founded in 1936 at Indian National Congress Meerut session as All India Kisan Congress. Swami Sahajanand Saraswati was the head of the Sabha. It wanted to abolish landlordism and to distribute land free of cost to agricultural and other rural labours. Which of the statements are correct? The answer to this is 2 and 3 only. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the Indian Express makes a reference to Swami Sahajananda Saraswati, which is why we have taken this practice question. When you look into All India Kisan Sabha, yes, it was formed in 1936 at Lucknow, and at the same time, do note, it is not Meerut session, but it happens to be Lucknow session. It was formed in 1936, yes, but not at the time of Meerut session, but at the time of Lucknow session. So the first statement is wrong. When you look into the second statement, Swami Sahajananda Saraswati, yes, was the head of the Sabha. And when you look at what were the objectives, one of the objective of the Sabha was to abolish landlordism and to distribute land free of cost to agricultural and other rural laborers. They also wanted to improve the standard of living of the rural community. They wanted to improvise on the agricultural sector, and at the same time they wanted to bring an end to the exploitation that was meted out to the agricultural laborers. So the All India Kisan Sabha was formed in 1936 at Lucknow. It was headed by Swami Sahajananda Saraswati. The motives of All India Kisan Sabha were abolish zamindari system, reduce land revenue, and to institutionalize the credit. These are some of the important objectives of the All India Kisan Sabha. Now let's look into the next practice question. Consider the following statements. They live in the rainforest and mountains of northern Brazil and southern Venezuela. They are the largest relatively isolated tribe in South America. They consider all people to be equal and do not have a chief. The above statements best describe, is it about Huron, Mohegan, Ojibwa or Yanomami? The answer to this is Yanomami. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the Indian Express makes a reference to the Yanomami tribe. So remember, the Yanomami tribe live in the Amazon forest. Where are they? They are present in Brazil as well as in Venezuela, and they are the indigenous people who are present in the Amazon rainforest on the borders between Venezuela and Brazil. This can be very important from the preliminary examination point of view. They have a simple way of living. They also have circular houses, and these circular houses are what is called as llanos. So remember, llanos happens to be the circular houses that they live in, and this can hold up to 400 people as well. These people have a unique culture. They basically engage in hunting. Let's say, for example, there is a person A who's hunted one of the animal. This person is not supposed to eat the meat of this particular animal, but instead he should only be eating the meat which is hunted by some other person. This is one of the cultural practices that these people have. And Yanomami also consider all people to be equal. They do not have a chief as well. And what do? All their decisions is based on consensus after long discussions and debates. So the first, second, and third statement basically speak about the Yanomami tribal group. What is the present context? We have the Brazilian government which has declared a public health emergency for the Yanomami people in Amazon who are suffering from malnutrition and diseases such as malaria as a consequence of illegal mining. And also do note, in the areas that they live, there is significant amount of illegal mining that takes place. These people are not exposed to different kinds of viruses, bacteria, so on and so forth. So when people from outside enter their area, they also bring in these viruses and bacteria, and this is making these people suffer in this particular area as well. Now let's look into the next practice question. Which of the following types of light are strongly absorbed by plants? Violet and orange, blue and red, indigo and yellow, yellow and violet. The answer to this is blue and red. This happens to be a previous year question from the year 2007. And as part of the assignment, you have to put on the comment section, why is blue and red strongly absorbed by the plants? Please put it on the comment section. Now let's look into the fact of the day. The fact of the day for today's discussion is AT1 bonds. Let us try and understand what is this AT1 bonds. AT1 basically stands for additional tier 1. This is also called as the AT1 bonds. What are these bonds? These are the perpetual debt instruments which are used by all the banks basically to expand their equity base. They are issued. Why? Because they want to raise the long-term capital. So AT1 bonds are unsecured bonds that have perpetual tenor. In other words, these bonds issued by the banks have no maturity date. So usually when you speak about the bonds, they have a maturity date. So after 3 months it will mature, after 6 months they will mature, after 1 year it will mature. But when it comes to these AT1 bonds, they do not have the maturity date. They have a call option which can be used by the banks to buy these bonds back from the investors. These bonds are typically used by the banks to bolster their core or the tier 1 capital, which we did discussed. So AT1 bonds are high quality, which can act as a fail safe in case of a bad financial situation. So AT1 bonds were first conceptualized following the disastrous global financial crisis of 2008. AT1 bonds are like standard bonds but have a comparatively higher rate of interest. They are also listed and traded on stock exchanges, and this means the person holding the bond can sell it in the secondary market in case of funds are required. In India, Basel III regulates the AT1 bonds. Basel III norms require Indian banks to maintain a capital ratio of 11.5% divided into 8% in Tier 1 capital and Tier 2 capital. What are the features? As we discussed, there is no fixed maturity date. There is premature recall as well, and interest payouts can also be skipped as well. Although these are non-equity instruments, they also have the option of convertible feature which can be triggered in case of a contingency. And do note, these bonds are also eligible to be written off as well. So such bonds also carry higher yields in comparison to other debt instruments. It is this that we have to understand with respect to this topic. So this is it for today. Thank you for watching. All the best.